and shakes. Of Suisun Valley, and this is Pinot Noir from Blacksmith Cellars, grown here in Suisun Valley. And you know, for those who think about Pinot, you might think about a coastal region like Sonoma Coast or Oregon, Willamette Valley, but our Pinot here is coming from Suisun, which is east of Napa, which is more inland, and you know, we got 100-degree days, especially this year. So you might wonder, well, how does Pinot, which usually like cold climate, grows in this warmer place? Well, we can grow that really well because the southern end of Suisun Valley is actually really quite cold. It actually has a temperature more comparable to Coombsville or Carneros of Napa. Is a little cooler because of the bay wind that really blows out. But you know, true to its terroir, is actually a more robust, a more fruit-forward kind of Pinot. And for that matter, I think it's going to actually be going really well with the dish I have in mind. So let's see what ingredients we're working with this week. This is Boston Larry's produce, and in here I already took a peek and I found this amazing ingredient, eggplant. Eggplant. So we're going to be working with eggplant today. One tidbit about eggplant is that eggplant actually has gender, or more specifically sex. So you can have male eggplant and female eggplant. And how do you know which one is male, which one is female? You can look at this little kind of belly button at the end. The female eggplant tends to have a more like oval, like longer shape like that, and a male eggplant is more round, like so. I generally prefer the male eggplant because I don't want a lot of seed, because it's like can be really crunchy and seedy. You don't want that. If you have a choice, you want to pick male eggplant. But we can use both today, and I'll show you what it looks like. So what I have in mind, that's gonna go perfectly with this Pinot Noir, because since it's a more fruit-forward, robust Pinot with a little bit of plum flavor and also a little ripe cherry, ripe strawberry flavor, and a little bit of earth flavor as well. I think it's gonna go well with tomato-based dish. Eggplant Parmigiana. Eggplant Parmigiana is a Italian staple dish that is entirely from eggplant. Usually people slice them up, batter it, deep fried it, layer it up into a big dish. So it kind of look like lasagna, but only made with eggplant. But I don't want to deep fry at this time, because when I think about deep fry, I feel like sweaty and greasy. So I'm going to use a technique that I really love to cook eggplant, and then from there we're going to layer and bake it in the classic way. So let's look at the ingredients. Okay, so just like most Italian dishes, actually, there aren't that many ingredients in it. It's really about the quality of the ingredients. And one cool thing about this, I was told that these are actually eggplant that Larry grew himself. So these are, you know, homegrown here in Suisun Valley. We're gonna use canned tomato and onion, eggplant, 2 types of cheese. So we have this grated mozzarella cheese that we're going to use to melt on top, and we have Parmesan cheese that we're going to be grating and making crisp sauce. Okay, so first step, we are going to be cutting this a little shy of an inch thick, right? So, and this is quite a bit thicker than what you're used to using. This is because of the technique I'm going to show you. Line them up here on a pan. Take any salt you want, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and salt the eggplant on both sides. And don't worry if it seems like a lot of salt. We're actually gonna wipe this salt off later. But what this salt does, like if you cooked this before, the salt would draw out the moisture, and with the moisture, the bitterness of the eggplant, and it would make the eggplant a little bit more dry and firm, so when we cook it, it's gonna be more flavorful. And so I'm gonna repeat that. We want to leave this eggplant in salt for about half an hour. So we're gonna make a simple tomato sauce. So we're gonna start off with olive oil, medium heat, let the oil to come to temperature. I'm putting in onion and garlic. So that is half an onion and 3 cloves of garlic. Cook this until it's translucent and sweating a little bit. Maybe after like a 5K run, this is how sweaty you should be. Glistening, like when you look at your forehead and it's like, oh my god, this is what sweaty is. So you want it to be sweaty, but you don't want it to be tan, so don't stay out for too long. You might get cancer. You can skip the onion if you don't like it. You can just go with just the garlic. But the onion has some sugar, and as you heat it up, it breaks down the sugar. It actually tastes sweet. So the sauce is gonna gain some sweetness from this onion. Throw in my beef with tomato sauce. There you go. I'm probably not gonna use all of this. This is quite a lot, but I can save this for pasta. I can save this for pizza later. The seasoning, we're using pinch of salt, cracked peppers. The most used spice in Italian cooking, oregano. I have an Italian friend who just says like, you know, he cannot live without oregano, and I believe it. That's about 1 teaspoon of oregano, and I might add more later. Bring it to boil, have it bubble a little further, and then lower down to simmer. Gonna let it simmer and reduce for about half an hour. We are gonna preset the temperature of the oven at 400. While it's doing that, I'm gonna make the most amazing Parmesan Crisp. And what it really is just you just grate Parmesan into a round like that, and basically piles. I just have piles and piles of these, and I'm gonna put in the oven, and it's gonna crisp up into a beautiful rounds, and you can use that to decorate. So I got me 5 piles here. Pop it in to the oven. This is gonna be fairly fast, so I'm gonna shake it after about a minute. It's been about 2 minutes, and it's really good. And look at that brown cheese. And this is why I use the parchment paper, because I can just lift it up, and you got this just beautiful, thin, crispy piece of Parmesan cheese. It's been a few minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes or so, and you can already see the eggplant is sweating. It's really all about sweating today. So all of these sweat is salty because it has salt in it. You don't really want these in there, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna put towel here and gonna wipe salty sweat out. If you're not already in a habit of salting and sweating your eggplant, you should. Take a Tupperware, more sturdy kind like this, the one that can take heat, and I'm gonna season this pan or this Tupperware with salt, pepper, and of course a little bit of oregano, like so. And I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to turn cast iron pan or a pan to high heat. Get the pan to be very, very, very hot. And I'm not going to put any oil in there because it's actually going to go past the smoking point of any oil. So this is hot, this is hot. Okay, I'm going to put in, and I want to hear that sound. Leave it for 3 to 5 minutes. This is starting to brown, but not quite where I want it yet. I want it to be a bit more done. Gonna wait around. Oh wow, that looks to be pretty close. So I'm gonna give it a few minutes. Now another thing that you can do is to actually move pieces around a bit, because the pan might have like hot spots, or the piece itself might be exposed to the pan slightly differently, right? So give it a little bit of agitation. So I'm gonna take another peek here. Look at that. So that is mostly brown, and if I run this through, you can hear the drying sound. So that is a sign that it's well done. Exactly. This is about a perfect level of doneness here. Leave it on for about the same amount of time, 3 to 5 minutes. So after this is done, you can see the beautiful brown color. We're gonna put it in the Tupperware that has been seasoned, and close the lid tightly, and shakes, and shakes, and shakes. Shake so that the oils covers our little eggplant here. And we leave it in to steam, so don't open the lid. It's been about half an hour. The sauce is about done. What I wanted to see is it reduces down by a little bit, so like the sauce used to be that high, it reduces down, but more importantly, I wanted to see the texture, so it's thickened up a little bit and still slightly chunky, like so. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the heat now. This eggplant has been steaming in there for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna open it up. You should see this. If you touch it, it's a little mushy now. It actually should be feel like it's been steamed, so like sometimes it can fall apart like that as well. That's really nice. And this is why we want the piece to be thicker like that. What we're now gonna do is we are going to be assembling it. So I'm gonna put one piece down and layer sauce on top. Grated mozzarella. It's actually better to use this dry mozzarella as opposed to fresh because we're gonna bake it and you don't want water running all over the place. This is fancy. I'm gonna put in a little bit of Parmesan as well. So that's one layer. You take the biggest piece and put in the base layer, and you take the second biggest piece, put in the second layer. Rinse, repeat. Tomato sauce, mozzarella, Parmigiano, and let's do one more layer. Tomato sauce. And this is my last layer, so I'm gonna put a generous amount of mozzarella here because what I want to see at the end is it's gonna bubbling and melting and covering the whole thing. We're gonna go now to our oven, which has been set at 400. Put it in like so. Close. Set timer for 5 minutes. Alexa, timer 5 minutes.
5 minutes, starting now.
It has been 5 minutes, and we're gonna take a look. Look at that. Whoa. This is melty perfection over here. As you can see here, that's beautiful 3 layers, soft cheese is melted. We are going to plate. Slide it right under. Really melty. Never have enough Parmesan cheese. Alright. So it's like, you know, when you go to Italian restaurants and they were like, can I grate you some cheese? And they just like, you know, tell me when to stop. I really only tell them to stop because I feel bad. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that. This beautiful little crisp here. Stick it up on top like that, and there you have it. Beautiful eggplant parmigiana, bake, no fry eggplant parmigiana. The most exciting time, eating time. Now we have again this beautiful dish, and I'm excited to eat it. So this is more like the presentations and stuff is a little bit more gourmet than a typical one, but you know, if you want to just layer over a giant casserole pan, go crazy with it. But I thought this was kind of fun. And cutting in is, you know, it's just like butter. It's cut right in. It's been cooked twice, primarily the first time when you steam it. I cut like cake. It's gonna be hot. Yeah. It's melted in my mouth, it's roasty, and it has that kind of roasted flavor that I got from the caramelization of the eggplant in the beginning. The cheese melt perfectly. Tomato sauce is there just like as an accent. And this go perfectly with this Pinot Noir. This Pinot has, again, that bright red fruit, a little bit darker cherry flavor that play along, kind of play the role of like tomato sauce, right? So it's like sort of highlighting that umami flavor in the eggplant. And I want more for the second bite just to see how the wine changes the flavor of the fruit. With the wine priming my mouth, I really can taste more of that eggplant flavor, again, of the umami. That, again, that's kind of like helping framing it. This recipe looks really fancy, but as you see, it's actually really simple. It's really just eggplant, cheese, tomato sauce. And if you don't want to make your own tomato sauce, honestly, just go buy a can of tomato sauce or a piece of sauce. It works just perfect. You can find this Pinot Noir at Suisun Valley Wine Co-op, and try this at home. Follow us, like us, comment, and see you at Suisun Valley Wine Co-op, and see you next week. Cheers. The most exciting time, eating time. Sorry. Hey guys! Styles, can you, we're filming. Okay. Alexa, shut up. She did shut up. Wow. We are hot.